Em nome do Reitor da Universidade de Lisboa, Professor Luís Ferreira, está aberta a cerimónia solene de atribuição do grau de Doutor Honoris Causa a Jonathan Seth Dordick. Agradecemos a presença das altas individualidades que participam nesta cerimónia e saudamos os membros da comunidade académica e os muitos amigos da Universidade aqui presentes. Tomará a palavra o Professor Rogério Colasso, Presidente do Instituto Superior Técnico.
Rector of the University of Lisboa, Professor Luís Ferreira, dear Professor John Dordick, dear members of the table, dear authorities of the University of Lisbon and of Instituto Superior Técnico, dear guests to this ceremony of attribution of the title of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor John Dordick. Welcome to this session. It is an honor for me to declare that the session is open. Thank you very much.
Usará da palavra o professor João Pedro Conde, presidente do Departamento de Bioengenharia do IST.
Good afternoon. Magnífico reitor, presidente do técnico, dear Professor John Dordick, Professor Cabral, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure and profound honor that we gather here today to extend a warm welcome to Jonathan Dordick, a distinguished scholar and visionary leader, as we confer upon him the title of the Doctorate Honoris Causa. In the realm of academia, there are few accolades as important as an honorary doctorate. It's a recognition reserved for those whose contributions transcend boundaries, inspiring generations and reshaping the landscape of knowledge. Today, we are privileged to bestow this honor upon an individual whose accomplishments stand as a beacon of excellence in his field. I wanted to say three things. The first one is that I would like to thank Joaquim Cabral, for this initiative. This is the first honorary doctorate that is grandfathered by the Department of Bioengineering, but it's truly Cabral's initiative. And I wanted to take this opportunity to thank him, but also to encourage my colleagues at the Department of Bioengineering to come up with initiatives, with disruptive initiatives, with ideas. It depends on every one of us to come up with the the movements that will lead us to the tomorrow. So that was the first thing. The second thing is I wanted, in the person of Professor Dordick, to celebrate the top American universities. Okay? They are renowned worldwide for their excellence in education, research, and innovation. They are always on the top of the rankings and attract top talent from all over the world. With world-class faculty members, state-of-the-art facilities, and a commitment to academic excellence, they indeed offer their students unparalleled opportunities for intellectual growth and personal development. And I think we should try to imitate. Okay? So I think I take this as a lesson from this honorary doctorate, is our ambition to try to match with the best. And I think both the president of Technical and the rector probably will agree with me. The third thing I wanted to mention, as using this speech as a pretext, is to celebrate also in Professor Dordick's his commitment to bioengineering. Okay? Bioengineering is, as we've heard this morning and we'll hear today, is one of the driving forces of science and technology in the 21st century. There are new products, new foods, new medicines, and Professor Dordick is an example of the commitment to the establishment and growth of bioengineering at his university and in the United States. I wanted to take this opportunity to again emphasize that at this moment we are, in a way, the representatives, but it transcends our department, the importance of bioengineering for Technic, for Portugal, for Europe, etc. Good. So to terminate, I would like to, as we welcome Professor Dordick to University of Lisbon, I wanted to celebrate the partnership between our faculty, our department, and our university, and Professor Dordick and his group and his university. His presence here today not only enriches our academic community, but also serves as a testament to the collaborative spirit that defines our institutions. So to terminate, please join me in extending our heartfelt congratulations and a warm welcome to Professor Dordick, the very first doctorate honoris causa sponsored by one of our faculty members in the Department of Bioengineering. Thank you very much.
Tomará a palavra o professor Joaquim Sampaio Cabral, padrinho do laureado.
So, good afternoon. My first words is for our magnificent rector, Professor Luís Anjos Ferreira. It's a pleasure to be here with you, that we met a long time ago in the Master of Biotechnology, Biochemical Engineering, and we have been common interests by that time. Thank you very much, as well as I extend my compliments to the President of the Conselho Geral, the General Council of the University, to Professor Cecília Rodrigues, Vice Rector of the University, and also I'd like to extend, of course, my compliments at IST, Professor Rogério Colasso, also a friend and a former member of the Bioengineering Department. And also I'd like to extend these compliments at IST to the President of Scientific Council, Pedro Brugueira, President of Pedagogic Council, Professor Teresa Penha, a member of Vice President of the Directive Board, so Professor Jorge Morgado, and of course, first I forgot, sorry Luís, is the President of the IST, the School of Engineering, so she should be before all the others, okay, at IST. My apologies. So I have a few notes, but it was upstairs during the lack of time. I will do it by heart on myself. So thank you very much for everyone. I'd like to compliment Vera Dordick. Thank you for coming. And of course, Professor John Dordick, a long-time friend, 40 years ago, when we met at MIT. He was a PhD student. I was doing my postdoctoral study there. So of course, my compliments are to all the audience, the colleagues that participates in this procession with us, as well as the members of IST and also the Department of Bioengineering and the Institute for Bioengineering and Biosciences. So I have here in my computer a few notes, but as I cannot move, I will do it by art anyway. No, don't worry. I'll do it. Professor Dordick is a graduate in biochemistry at Brandeis University, 10 miles from MIT, that I know that. So he came and joined the MIT postgraduation at doctoral level in the group of Professor Danny Wang, and his supervisor was Professor Alex Klibanov. It was a pioneer also in the use of enzymes in organic solvents, and he has made a great career. So just after his PhD, where we met, because I was in 83, 84, but after that I was 5 years as a visiting scientist at MIT, so we met several times during this time. So that's why we tried to establish collaborations after that. So Professor Dordick is not mentioned in his CV, but he was a postdoc and worked in Taunton Line in UK for a year, okay, right? And after that, he joined the University of Iowa, where he was in the Department of Chemical Engineering, so launching the group in the biocatalysis and biochemical engineering. And afterwards, he has been a long career and excellent career at RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the first English language university, technological university, I should say. And from that on, we continue. What we'll do by that time, so it was major contributions in different fields, namely biocatalysis. Of course, it was his first field that he started to progress, but opened several areas in this field that translate also not only the sustainability as it is called now today in terms of economy and so on, but also to the health sector. So yes, and in fact, we started collaborating a few years. We had our first PhD student common is Tiago Fernandes, is there. He's nowadays an assistant professor at the Department of Bioengineering at IST and University of Lisbon. And from then on, we continue with several collaborations, not only with him, that he has several PhD students that were graduated with John, and also not mine directly, but other colleagues that are here present. So we extend the network beyond our 2 hours. So there was an opportunity a few years ago in 2007 when we established a program, a PhD program, in bioengineering for regenerative and precision medicine with cellular therapies applications at the ATMP. And John was the responsible for this from the RPI side. I was here at the IST at this level as coordinator of the bioengineering PhD program. And we have a lot of experience teaching students and so on. But still today, they continue. With John, with Deepak, and other members, Bob Linhart, Pankaj Karande, only to Steve Kramer, only to mention a few of the faculty members of the Department of Chemical and Biological Engineering. John is also, apart from that, has joint appointments with different departments. You have a joint appointment with biomedical engineering, with biology, with chemistry. So apart from his own first, he has at least 3 joint positions on those departments. He was vice president of RPI for research, and now he's also vice president for innovation, and he was one of the key persons to launch a new initiative between RPI and Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan. So he was the director of that. I know that he passed this, he told me just 1 day or 2 days ago, to Deepak, that is one of his followers on that, but it's important to join together engineering and medicine. So if it's, there are a few examples. For MIT, for example, with Harvard since the 60s, they have that program. But RPI is following that one, and it was, I think, should be one example that I tried already a few years ago to launch here also in Portugal with Faculty of Pharmacy, Faculty of Medicine, and IST, because we have to have graduated not only engineers or medical doctors, but to have together a PhD MD. So that's the way how to go. So this is for the, hopefully that we can establish. I thought this 10 years ago already, but hopefully that will come in a few years. So what John did, so John, it's not only, of course, he published a lot of papers, more than 430. He graduated 67 PhD students, and he launched, what is special, he launched several companies. So the translation to industry, and John and Douglas Clark is a dean at Berkeley. They have together a few years ago launched Solidus Biotech, so a company used with applications in biocatalysis. Of course, it was famous, but also in other fields in biosensors, as well as in the medical area. So we collaborate in the S area, as well as in biocatalysis before. So finally, if I don't forget anything that was in my speech or in my notes, I don't think so, I'd like to thank John for this long friendship, and we have been colleagues, and after we have been friends. And so that's why I think that the institutions and the initiatives starts with first with persons, knowledge to be that we can trust. And so with that is an important issue. And for that we can launch for the future the institutions and development of our universities, the economy, and so on. So thank you, John, for coming. He has been coming several times because I forgot he is until now the coordinator of our external advisory committee of our research institute, the Institute for Bioengineering and Biosciences, and he is helping us to submit our proposal next week. Okay. Thank you, John. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Proceder-se-á de seguida à outorga das insígnias do Doutor Honoris Causa pela Universidade de Lisboa a Jonathan Dordick.
Na qualidade de reitor, declaro Honoris Causa pela Universidade de Lisboa Jonathan Seth Dordick como reconhecimento do mérito e culto dos valores fundamentais da Universidade.
Usará da palavra o professor Jonathan Dordick.
Okay. So here's my Portuguese. Muito obrigado. Rector Ferreira, President Colasso, Professor Conde, and of course Professor Cabral. You know, it's truly a great honor to receive a degree from Portugal's premier technological research institute, especially given the exciting exchanges we already have underway between RPI and Technico. It's also a wonderful moment to celebrate the Jubilee of Professor Joaquim Cabral, who, as you know, I have had the pleasure of knowing for now nearly 40 years from my MIT days as a graduate student, and with whom I've collaborated for many years. So I'm going to use my time today to talk about why the world needs technological research universities like ours, more than ever before, given how many of the world's biggest problems in climate, energy, health, and other fields are science and engineering challenges above all. But let me start with expanding a little bit on what has been said already about RPI, give you a little bit of a history of my university. So the evolution of RPI actually offers various insights into where we are today. As you heard, RPI is the oldest technological university in the United States, perhaps even the English-speaking world, and actually predates MIT by about 40 years. We were founded by a Rensselaer, Stephen van Rensselaer, 200 years ago this year. This is our bicentennial year. His land holdings along the Hudson River were so valuable that not only was he the richest American of his time, he was one of the richest Americans in our entire history. It's too bad, actually, we don't have all his money. But anyway, he was a philanthropist who sought to secure his legacy by putting money into the future of science, so science could be applied more broadly to, as he put it, the common purposes of life. Initially founded as a school for teachers who would help farmers and mechanics learn scientific principles, by 1835 RPI was awarding the first civil engineering degrees in the United States. RPI alumni jump-started the American Industrial Revolution, building the bridges, canals, railroads that move goods, people, and ideas. Indeed, Troy, New York was at the center of the Industrial Revolution, in part because it sits at the confluence of the Hudson River and the Erie Canal, and it's equidistant from New York City and Boston. Now, after World War II, the U.S. established a new and unique research and education model which did not exist here in Europe or elsewhere in the world. This model was put forth by Vannevar Bush, an MIT electrical engineering professor and science advisor for Presidents Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman. And it included a three-legged stool in which universities conduct basic research funded by the federal government, the results of which are then applied by industry. The model was phenomenally successful and turned the U.S. into a world leader in research and innovation. Now, RPI played a role in strengthening the three-legged stool. Indeed, while other universities had trouble bridging the culture gap between university and industry scientists, RPI's joint university industry research centers succeeded. Under RPI President George Low, who was a former NASA administrator who oversaw the Apollo program that landed humans on the moon, RPI became the first American university to host an incubator for startup companies. More recently, under our most recent president, Shirley Ann Jackson, RPI moved into biotechnology, recognizing that the future of life sciences was at the interface of computational and data sciences, AI, and engineering. Today, RPI is still pioneering new models to make sure its research benefits society. One such structure, which I happen to lead, was the Hepburn Applied Research Center. This was one of the few centers in the U.S. in which industry partners and universities work together in applied research. I'll give a little background there. Heparin is a widely prescribed anticoagulant used, for example, to prevent blood clots during kidney dialysis and open heart surgery. The raw material for heparin derives from pig intestines, generally sourced from underregulated slaughterhouses in China. To say that this supply chain is not ideal is an understatement. In 2008, as a result of the deliberate adulteration of heparin with a cheaper ingredient, over 100 people died worldwide. At RPI, I joined forces with a long-standing colleague of mine and friend, Professor Robert Linhart, to consider how to biomanufacture safer, more reliable forms of heparin. As a result of Bob's world-renowned heparin expertise and my expertise in enzyme technology, today the process we developed to make synthetic heparin has been licensed, is ready to scale, and is awaiting regulatory approval. In other words, at technological research universities, we work on things that impact people's lives. I think that's why all of us are here today. So at RPI, a number of my colleagues and I have also had the pleasure of working with technical faculty and students on biocatalysis, regenerative medicine and stem cell biotechnology, glycoscience, glycoengineering, and even beyond biotech within our School of Engineering. I served as PhD or postdoc co-advisor to several technical students who spent up to 3 years in my lab at RPI, and some of them are here today. Faculty in our Center for Biotechnology and Interdisciplinary Studies, or CBIS, supported at least a half a dozen technical PhD students over the past decade. Together with Professor Cabral, we were supported by an FCT PhD program in regenerative medicine and stem cell biology. This program resulted in numerous PhD degrees and over 24 peer-reviewed publications. Additional research collaborations have emerged in aeronautical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science. Not an insignificant number of technical faculty receive their PhD degrees or perform postdoctoral research at RPI. So I'm very excited about the RPI technical interactions that have occurred and have certainly yet to come. So let me talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we at RPI, quite frankly, the entire United States and elsewhere are facing. So universities like RPI do face significant challenges. We can no longer count on the same government commitment that we've had in the past. In the U.S., the government share of funding for the country's research and development has been on a long downhill trend, and Portugal, I believe, has seen similar shift as well. The problem with this is that universities are really where the foundational work is done. In recent years, the U.S. government is no longer funding investigator-driven basic research at universities to the same extent that it once did. Instead, the government has begun to shift its funding priorities to goal-directed applied research that demonstrates a fast return on the taxpayers' investments. Obviously, it's impossible to predict whether any foundational research project will yield a breakthrough. What is predictable is that if you don't do foundational research at all, you won't get breakthroughs. Is anyone stepping into the resulting funding gap? In the U.S., the three-legged stool is now becoming the four-legged stool, with philanthropy becoming a major source of funds for academic research. U.S. philanthropic organizations are giving roughly as much to science every year as the National Institutes of Health, which is the major funder of biomedical sciences in the U.S. Those universities that embrace the opportunity to work with these new funders, who may be more interested than the government funders in longer-term and riskier explorations, are going to succeed. Of course, in both our countries, some philanthropic organizations create their own research institutes, funding foundational science and engineering outside of universities. Let me give you an example. In the U.S., a new organization named Arena Bioworks offers a new model for independent research institutes. It was launched by a biochemist, Stuart Schreiber, a co-founder of the Broad Institute at MIT and Harvard, and some very wealthy philanthropists. It intends to recruit top scientists from academia by eliminating the headaches attached to both government funding for disease, biology research, and venture funding for drug development. So actually, Schreiber left Harvard to go directly to Arena Biosciences, and that's the beginning of a trend that we're starting to see. And it raises many questions for universities. So for example, how can we avoid a brain drain and compete when you have such large funders with a fairly small number of focused areas? Beyond that, what can we do to ensure that our national research agenda is broad enough and doesn't just reflect the interests of a few philanthropists? Unlike independent research institutes, universities have a wide-ranging educational imperative. How can we continue to educate large numbers of students at the cutting edge of research? At RPI, we are looking for ways that our faculty can split time between the university and other organizations, including philanthropy and venture capital funded companies. This way, we do not lose our best faculty, but give them the freedom to pursue their intellectual interests. At the same time, because our missions are broader than those of private research institutes, there are so many opportunities for RPI and Technico to target areas of interdisciplinary research that truly are critical to the future. At RPI, for example, our Center for Architecture, Science, and Ecology, which is headquartered in Brooklyn, is rethinking the question of sustainability by reimagining cities as systems of systems. In computing, we are focused on advancing both hardware and software, and we intend to be a key player in realizing our federal government's goal of returning advanced semiconductor research and manufacturing to the U.S. Indeed, just last week, RPI turned on the first quantum computer at a university anywhere in the world. And having such a quantum computing capability on our campus represents a remarkable opportunity for our students. In my realm of biochemical engineering, and as Joachim mentioned, RPI recently opened a new Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine, or the CEPM, in partnership with the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and located in Manhattan. This joint center is driving unique approaches to preventing, curing, and treating society's most intractable diseases at the intersection of engineering and medicine. A critical goal of the CEPM is to make clinical trials faster and more effective and to accelerate getting therapeutics more quickly to patients. Indeed, as we move from small molecule drugs to protein and gene therapies and CRISPR genome editing, the manufacturing process becomes more critical to the product. The science of biomanufacturing is not yet developed. Industry is looking to universities to find and set the parameters. The CEPM is also highly focused on translation, and by basing it in Manhattan, we are close to the city's venture capitalists and philanthropists. So I'm now leading a new Office of Strategic Alliances and Translation that intends to get the ideas generated in our laboratories out to the world, where they can improve lives. Given the world's reliance on startups for innovation, we want to make sure that our students and faculty have a pathway forward. If universities like RPI and Technico can help our students stick around and launch their own startups within the neighborhood of our campuses, this is great for our institutions and for the entire region. We have established RPI Ventures, which is focused on providing critical early-stage support for students at all levels and faculty to initiate their entrepreneurial journey. We are raising a philanthropic pre-venture fund that will provide support to students and faculty to meet key milestones, technical ones as well as business, and to advance to forming a new company. It's not always how many companies did you start, it's also how many did you stop. So brilliant people will be able to move on to their next promising ideas. So we will take a small equity stake, as best as we can, in these companies that spin out of RPI, which will serve as a sustainable support mechanism. RPI will become a partner to these companies rather than an adversary, which often happens at universities, which really does limit, therefore, when there's an adversarial relationship, it limits what actually happens both at the university and the company. And we are redesigning a property in downtown Troy to serve as an incubation hub and space for startups. Overall, RPI Ventures strives to partner with, support, and promote companies and their technologies so they can benefit society. And this is the ultimate goal of translation. So technical institutions like Technico and RPI have significant social responsibility. Our faculty have to be more than just scientists and engineers, innovators and educators. For example, we have a responsibility not just to teach the students in front of us, but to consider what is happening in education overall. China and Russia far outstrip the U.S. in the percentage of college and university graduates who are educated in science and engineering. In both Portugal and the U.S., our secondary school students are, on average, around the OECD average in math and science. It is worth asking, then, are a lot of those students being discouraged before they get to our universities? And to what degree does a poor average performance reflect the divisions in our society? And in the U.S., there's significant divisions. We must also encourage our governments to do more to help us create technologies that can change lives. Most faculty spend their time on research and teaching. There is very little time or energy or reward for civic activities beyond that. But in the U.S., at least, a lack of scientific education is a key feature of our political leadership. This is probably true around the world. We academics need to help our leaders understand how innovation happens and its role in the economy and national security. Our advocacy, therefore, is very important. So let me conclude by saying that first, I thank all of you for the great honor you've bestowed upon me. Sprawling challenges ranging from climate change to preventing the next pandemic to finally realizing the promise of precision medicine are making the work we do at RPI and Technical more essential than ever. If we keep our eyes on the potential for societal impact, whether through a foundational discovery or through a spin-out company launched by a student or faculty member, it is within our power to improve a lot of lives. That is a power we should seize. Thank you again very much.
Seguir-se-á a assinatura do livro de atas para formalizar a atribuição do grau de Doutor Honoris Causa a Jonathan Dordick. Em nome do Reitor da Universidade de Lisboa, Professor Luís Ferreira, está encerrada a cerimónia solene de atribuição de grau de Doutor Honoris Causa a Jonathan Dordick. Agradecemos a vossa presença e informamos que iremos assistir no átrio do auditório a um momento musical a cargo do Grupo Camarário Estudantil do IST, que interpretará o concerto para 2 violinos em Lá menor de Vivaldi. Seguidamente será servido um porto de honra para o qual convidamos todos os presentes.